Today's lesson is called Flying Cars, Dream or Reality? Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
I am Roger, and you know something, Jeff? I am so sick of the traffic congestion in Taipei. I just wish someone would invent a way to get through traffic without being stuck in traffic jams for so long. Gee, wouldn't it be nice if there was such a thing as a flying car?
Well, I mean, if you don't like traffic jams, you can take the subway.
Yeah, but you got to get in those cars with all those people and stuff like that. I'd like to have my own vehicle and go wherever I want to go, whenever I want to go there, without having to fight lots of people trying to stuff themselves in my armpits and things like that. I just want to be all by myself and get around and forget everybody else exists.
So you want flying cars so that you don't have to deal with humanity?
Well, it's just an example. I'm sure lots of people feel the same way. If only I could get through traffic and not be bothered to fight traffic jams and things like that. So, indeed, there are people working on this problem, and it may be a reality someday. Probably first, of course, for the rich people, and then the rest of us may be able to have our own flying cars.
Anyways, flying cars, dream or reality? Let's go ahead and start reading, and then we'll come back and continue our discussion.
Flying cars, dream or reality? Flying cars are a common sight in science fiction movies, where they're portrayed zooming around futuristic cities hundreds of meters above the ground. But there's no chance that they'll ever be a real thing, is there? Well, yes. In fact, flying cars already exist, and you could see them whizzing around your city's skies before too long.
大家好，第一部分我们看到单字 portray， 这个字是动词，指描述、描绘。例如 The movie portrayed the businessman as a mean father. 那部电影把那名商人描绘成一个苛刻的父亲。另外，这个字除了上面的意思，还可以指饰演、诠释、描绘角色等，像是 Critics praised the actress for portraying the famous politician. 影评对饰演那位知名政治人物的女演员赞誉有加。或是 Alicia was asked not to portray her American accent too strongly in the movie. Alicia 被要求在电影中不要把她的美国口音表现得太强烈。再补充一个相关片语show or portray somebody in a negative or bad light, 表示丑化某人，以负面观点描述某人。我们可以说 The biography portrays the former politician in a negative light. 这本传记丑化这位前政治人物。接下来我们看到动词 zoom, 指快速移动、疾行。例如 Neil loves to zoom around the countryside on his mountain bike. Neil 喜欢骑着他的登山车在乡间四处穿梭。或是 The police car zoomed past us on the highway. 警车在高速公路上呼啸疾驶，超过我们。另外，补充两个相关片语。第一 zoom in 表示镜头拉近。我们可以说 The border guard zoomed in on the approaching car with his binoculars. 边境守卫拉近望远镜的镜头，聚焦于逐渐驶近的车子。第二 zoom by 表示飞快的超过。举例来说The top 3 drivers zoomed by the finish line. 排名前3的驾驶飞快地超越了终点线。再补充一个同义动词 whiz, W-H-I-Z, whiz, 意思是呼啸而过，快速移动。像是 A boy on a skateboard whizzed past Carl as he walked to his car. Carl 走向他车子时，有个男孩从他身边溜滑板呼啸而过。再来，我们看到单字 futuristic， 这个字是形容词，指未来的、极其前卫的、电影、小说等幻想未来的。举例来说 The car's futuristic design appealed greatly to millennial customers. 那款汽车具未来风格的设计相当吸引千禧世代的顾客。或是 The science fiction writer is known for his futuristic settings. 那名科幻小说作者以他未来感的情景设定闻名。
Okay, so this is a question in the title here. Flying cars Are they a dream or are they reality? Of course, lots of us have dreamed about flying through cities in a flying car that nobody else has. I think most people have had that fantasy before. But yeah, is it just a dream or can it become reality? Can it really happen? Well, here's what we're going to look at in the first paragraph. It says, flying cars are a common sight in science fiction movies where they're portrayed zooming around futuristic cities hundreds of meters above the ground. So yeah, science fiction, of course, refers to a genre of novels or of movies in which they mostly talk about the future with scientific concepts. Yeah, what's life in the future going to be like? Like, I think Gravity is one, and that one about the black hole was another science fiction movie. And yes, indeed, cars are zooming around those cities. So zooming here just means moving really, really fast.
Flying cars, they're a common sight in sci-fi and science fiction movies where they can be seen flying hundreds of meters above the ground. But there's no chance that they'll ever be a real thing, is there? Well, yes. In fact, flying cars already exist. So there you go, Roger. Maybe you can be the first person to import a flying car to Taiwan and your dream can come true. You can totally avoid all traffic jams and be the only person with a flying car in all of Taiwan.
Indeed. We're probably thinking that that's probably a fantasy. It's never going to happen because cars are just too heavy. How can they possibly fly unless they have big jet engines and huge wings? That just would not work inside a city. But hey, they are, in fact, coming. In fact, flying cars already exist. People have already been working on this, and you could see them whizzing around your city skies before too long. Before too long, here's just a fancy way of saying soon. You might see cars whipping around, zooming around, whizzing around, and you won't see that in a long time. You'll see it very soon. Wow, that's amazing. I wonder how they're going to regulate such traffic.
It's a good question. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a short break. And when we come back, we'll learn about a Japanese company called SkyDrive.
In August 2020, the Japanese company SkyDrive completed a test flight of its all-electric air taxi, said to be the world's smallest electric vehicle that can take off and land vertically. And the German-based company Volocopter has unveiled its own craft, the Volocity, which is set to become its first commercially licensed electric air taxi. This wingless vehicle is designed to transport passengers between a network of mini airports located throughout major cities. The company even hopes to develop an autonomous version that can fly without a pilot.
第二部分我们看到形容词 autonomous 指自动的、自主的、自制的。举例来说 Many companies are working on autonomous vehicles. 许多公司正致力于研发自动车。或是 The Eastern European country Ukraine has been autonomous since the collapse of the Soviet Union. 东欧国家乌克兰自苏联瓦解后就转为自治了。
Okay, so let's talk about some companies that are trying to develop flying cars. Of course, as you know, Japan is a very crowded country, especially in Tokyo and maybe Osaka. But indeed, you would think that the Japanese are looking for ways to get around the cities more easily. So it's no surprise that in August 2020, last year, the Japanese company SkyDrive completed a test flight of its all-electric air taxi, said to be the world's smallest electric vehicle that can take off and land vertically. So, yeah, it's said to be the world's smallest electric vehicle. So somebody says this, maybe that company says it themselves, or maybe some newspaper or some media outlets took a look at it and compared it to other electric vehicles and said, hey, this one seems to be the smallest electric vehicle. Not just that, but it's the smallest one that can take off and land vertically, which means up and down, vertically.
So it doesn't need a runway like an airplane would, let's say. Like there are electric airplanes maybe or something like that would need a runway to pick up speed and then take off. And then when they land, they need some space to do that. Well, apparently here, this particular vehicle can take off and land vertically in a straight line up and then in a straight line down. They can do this vertically, up and down. Okay, that's what the word vertically refers to. If you want to talk about side to side, you'd use the word horizontally. Anyways, that's Japan. Let's move on and talk about Germany.
Germany, of course, yes, that's a country in Europe, and they're great at making cars. People in Taiwan love the cars from Germany. So, yes, indeed, the German-based company Volocopter has unveiled its own craft, the Volo City, which is set to become its first commercially licensed electric air taxi. To unveil here just means to show it for the first time.
Dun, 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 dun. And maybe, yes, it was hidden behind a veil or a curtain or something, and they lifted it and they showed it off to the public for the first time. They unveiled it. Maybe they did so at a product launch. And yes, this is a craft. Now, we're not sure what type of craft it is yet, but we do know that it's going to be kind of like a flying car, okay? And once you have something that's flying, you can call that thing an aircraft. So that's why we're using the word craft here, because this is something that is flying. Anyways, it said this German-based company, it unveiled this craft, and it's set to become the first commercially licensed electric air taxi. That means the government is going to give it a license. We'll give it a document, an official document saying that this particular craft can act as an air taxi. It can legally do this. It has been licensed to do so. Yes, if you are licensed to do so, the government has recognized your right to do that thing, usually by way of a document.
Right. Of course, you know 007. He's licensed to kill. If he kills somebody, he won't go to jail for it, at least in the movies there. But in this particular case, this air taxi will be licensed to carry passengers. It will be the first one in the world. And this wingless vehicle is designed to transport passengers between a network of many airports located throughout major cities. So, yeah, that's what it's going to do. It's going to transport passengers in a network of many airports, or small airports, I guess, that handle these air taxis. And it will be located in major cities, maybe in Europe there, in Munich or Hamburg or wherever, expanding to Paris or London or whatever, and Tokyo and Taipei, etc., etc. They may have those mini airports.
There you go. The company even hopes to develop an autonomous version that can fly without a pilot. How about that? So they want to make a form or a version of this particular craft that doesn't need a pilot. It will fly by itself. It will be autonomous. How about that? All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a short break, but don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
It's true that the current versions of flying cars do look a little different from those that appear in movies. Indeed, the above-mentioned craft look more like giant drones or small helicopters than flying road cars. Nonetheless, they promise to make traveling around cities far faster than current transportation allows, particularly in places where heavy road traffic often means moving at a snail's pace.
最后第三部分，我们看到单字 drone 这个字是名词，意思是无人机。举例来说 ，Henry bought a drone for his little brother who loves photography. Henry 买了一台无人机给他爱摄影的弟弟。
Okay, here's the third and final portion of our lesson for today. It begins by saying it's true that the current versions of flying cars do look a little different from those that appear in movies. Yes, if you look at some of those old movies, they basically have those flying cars look the same as cars on the ground, except they just don't have the wheels. They can fly. But, of course, modern technology has some other things they need to think about. So, yes, the current versions of those flying cars don't look like anything in those science fiction movies.
Indeed. The above-mentioned craft look more like giant drones or small helicopters than flying road cars. Yeah, that's what I was thinking before. How are these different from helicopters? Because helicopters can take off and land vertically, okay? And in fact, there are rich businessmen that can already fly across the city using helicopters as we speak, just not electric ones. Anyways, a helicopter, that is an aircraft that can take off and land vertically, okay, can also hover, and usually it does so by way of these blades that spin around on top of that particular aircraft. That's how it stays in the air, and it also has some blades on its tail fin there that can direct where it goes.
Right, so again, the modern versions of flying cars look kind of like drones, which are those devices that are very popular for people to take pictures from above ground, and they hover in the air with those rotors. And yeah, they look like small helicopters. Nonetheless, they promise to make traveling around cities far faster than current transportation allows. So yeah, even though they look like drones or helicopters, still they have potential. They promise to make traveling around cities much faster than taking a taxi or a bus or driving your own car would, or even a scooter. It probably would be faster to get around Taipei or Kaohsiung in one of these flying cars, even though they kind of look like big drones.
Yes, they promise to make traveling around cities far faster than current transportation allows, particularly in places where heavy road traffic often means moving at a snail's pace. Yes, I would pay a little bit more to get someplace super fast on one of these sky cars or whatever you call them than have to stay in traffic or to get stuck in traffic in a regular taxi. Yes, I would pay just a little bit extra to have that convenience in my life. Anyways, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't go away, don't fret. The Chinese teacher is coming up.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分提到飞天车是科幻电影里面常见的景象，同学们觉得这有可能会成真吗？那么课文就写到说 But there's no chance that they'll ever be a real thing, is there? 好，这边有两个重点哦。首先我们来学这个用 chance 表达可能性的句型。There is a chance 加上 that 子句呢，是表达有可能怎么样。那么 chance 的前面如果加上形容词 good 就可以加强语气去表达说可能性很大。那如果是加上形容词 slim 或是 slight 等等，是表达说不太可能。我们也可以用 there's little chance 来表达。举例来说There's little chance that it will rain tomorrow. 明天不太可能会下雨，这个降雨几率是很低的。好，那至于课文里面它用到 There's no chance 加上 that 子句，则是表达什么什么是不可能的。好，那我们再补充一下哦，在口语当中呢 Fat chance 可以用来表达不可能或是机会渺茫的意思。那这其实是一句反话哦。我们刚刚不是有提到 slim chance 字面上看起来很像是苗条纤细的机会嘛，那这是用来表达不太可能的语义。那么相对的 fat 是用来描述肥胖的，你看到 fat chance 胖胖的机会，肥胖的机会，是不是会让人误以为他在表达可能性是很大的？可是他其实是在用反话讲说想都别想，门儿都没有，或是机会渺茫的意思。好，那第二个重点是课文句子里面有用到附加问句 is there 或是 is there， 这要看语气。那我们就来复习附加问句的用法。附加问句呢是用来寻求对方的认同，跟对方确认或是澄清事实。就像我们中文也会说是不是，对不对啊，不是吗？是吧？等等的。好，那它的用法就是在肯定主要子句后面搭配否定附加问句，或者是在否定主要子句后面搭配肯定附加问句。举例来说，我们看到一个外国人，然后觉得说他不会说中文吧？他会吗？这时候我是很怀疑，我不太确定他到底会不会说中文，我就会说 He can't speak Chinese.Can he？ 最后面语气是为上扬的 Can he？ 他会吗？好，那我们再造个例句哦。假设你看到一个女生，你知道她是演员，想要跟旁边人再确认，想要寻求对方认同，这时候我们会说 She's an actress, isn't she? 她是个演员，不是吗？这时候其实我自己还算肯定，我只是想要寻求认同而已。好，那要特别注意，我们的主要子句呢，如果是带有否定字词，像是 no, few, little,barely, hardly, seldom, scarcely 等等，这时候呢，我们要把主要子句视为是否定的主要子句，那么后面就要搭配肯定附加问句了。好，像课文里面的主要子句 There's no chance that 怎么样怎么样，这边它有包含否定字词 no， 所以呢，后面就是要搭配肯定附加问句 Is there。 好，那这边还有一个重点要注意的是，主要子句呢，如果是用 there is 或是 there are 去引导的句子时，我们的附加问句主词也是会用 there。 例如 There are barely any seats left. Are there？ 几乎没有剩的座位了吧？有吗？对吧？好，那么以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Portray. The painting portrays two men sailing a small boat on a calm sea. Zoom. The electric scooter zoomed by Sam as he walked to the supermarket. Vertically. The seagull dove vertically into the ocean and returned with a fish. Unveil. The company unveiled its newest notebook last month. Craft. Even though one of its engines had failed, the craft landed safely. License. The restaurant has been licensed to sell beer and wine. Helicopter. Camilla took a helicopter to the island because traveling by boat makes her sick. Nonetheless. The problem isn't serious. Nonetheless, it should be dealt with soon.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you guys enjoyed reading and learning along with us. I am Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.